Raheem Mostert surfaced last year as the Niners, lead back out of the backfield, RB1. Was a long-time special teams guy for them as a gunner and just an all-around special teams guru. Obviously, his background outside of special teams is as a running back, and the Niners definitely used him there quite a bit of times, definitely when they had some injuries earlier on to guys like Matt Breida and Tevin Coleman, and certainly when Jerick McKinnon went down that first season they had him. So that's kind of when they discovered Mostert. But last year was really his breakout season, especially towards the end of the season and through the Super Bowl. And basically, he's looking for a new contract coming in this year. And it's not necessarily, I would say, outrageous or anything, quite demanding like we've seen with guys like Ezekiel Elliott when they were holding out, or Le'Veon Bell, for instance. So I definitely think it's something that we can work through. And I definitely think that it's something that if the Niners really value this guy, that they can pay him. But I also view it as the Niners don't have to do anything.
Yeah, so this one kind of triggered me a little bit personally, because, and it's hard. Like I get it. And football is a very dangerous sport. You got to try to make your money, and I get that. But and Mostert was a huge asset to us last year. There's no denying that. Like he came out of nowhere. But at the same time, no one knew this guy's name until last year, and he's been in the league since 2015. He was on Cleveland, Miami, and Baltimore, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I should pull this up.
On
1 year, within 1 year.
He's been in the league for like 4 full years. It'd be his 5th, and he's been on 7 different teams.
Yeah, and he's done nothing until last year. So now I'm not trying to dog him, but I feel like you've been in the league for 5 years. You've done literally, like, I have his stats up now, and some of them, they're literally just zeros across the board. And then you have this one blowout year. I feel like you have more against you than for you in the fact that you need to come and show up and play ball this year. And then you can, because then you go from, well, he's done nothing. And then he had this one great year. Could that have been a fluke because no one knew about him and this and that? So, or you have, okay, now this dude's figured it out. It took him a few years, but he figured it out and he's good because he did back-to-back greatness, So I feel like this is, and especially in this situation in San Francisco where the running back field is deep right now, and it's pretty strong. Where I just feel like this is really not a good play by him, because like you said, the Niners don't need to do anything for them. We still have running backs, and from what the chat's been with McKinnon, apparently McKinnon's in like the best shape of his life. He's ready to go hard,
which also remains to be seen. Which
of course, of course. But I just feel like this is not a smart move by him.
Well, here's how I see it, and maybe this will give you a different perspective. So, when you look at the stats, okay, when you talk about who's the highest paid, are they the highest productive? No.
Yeah. No.
In this case, I believe it was like 5.6 yards per carry, if I'm not mistaken. That's what he averaged last year. That was number 1.
Mm-hmm.
On yards per carry. You can't deny that.
No, that's pretty good.
And I mean, the dude had some monster games. If you look at his stats based on carries, I mean, if you're averaging that per season, you're having good games. Mm-hmm. Your averages are going to remain as they are in each game. And there were so many people that said, well, where was he at the beginning of the year? Well, he wasn't the lead guy at the beginning of the year. They were giving a lot of carries to Coleman and Breida, and then they were giving it to him. So like on some games in the beginning of the year last year, he was getting 8 or 9 carries, but he also still turned those in to his big averages, and then when he got more and more opportunities from injuries, that's when he blew up.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of people that would say that, oh, okay, well, he's tried 7 different teams, it didn't work out, but it's just because of Shanahan's system that he's having success. So even if he gets traded, like he'll be exposed and he won't be the same guy in somebody else's system. Now that very well could be the case, But that also could be very well not the case, because he could have been a special teams guy on all these other teams too, and not given the opportunity to be a running back the way that Shanahan's given him the opportunity to be a running back.
Yeah.
The other thing to think about is Coleman and Breida were definitely given the rock, preferably over him towards the start of the season last year.
Yeah.
There were times where visibly they were not having success.
Yes.
And then he came in and had success and maintained success and still put up these numbers. So
Yeah.
that right there kind of debunks the Shanahan system theory that says, well, then why isn't Coleman and why isn't Breida having the same, if not better, numbers at Mostert? If they're better running backs because they're RB1 and 2 and he's RB3, then why aren't they putting up the same numbers? Because they're running in the same system, you know?
Yeah,
So
I get that. I do
you
get
really
that.
argue it a different way. Now, the other thing to think about this too is the guy's 28 years old. He's going to be a free agent in 2 years, which at the age of 30. Not a lot of free agent running backs at 30 often will get many offers, or even any offers very lucrative.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's kind of the older side of that position.
exactly. So I think a guy in his position with the past that he has had, and the current sort of position he's in, I think he's looking at this like, my stock is never going to be higher. And if I'm
Yeah.
ever going to do a sort of money grab or try to
It is a do
uh,
now.
flip this, like, this is going to be my only opportunity. Now, whether or not that doesn't look like a team friendly move, or that doesn't look like a good move or a good guy move or whatever, you can understand that as a person. I mean, there's one philosophy in sports that says you will never knock a guy who's trying to go after as much money as he can, because hey, if I had the opportunity, I would do it.
Yeah.
You know what I
No,
mean?
I get that.
But on the other hand,
I do get that, and I respect it. I just feel like the scenario with the Niners, it's a big risk for him losing out entirely
definitely a
because of
bigger
the
risk
depth.
for him.
Because then we also have that Ahmed guy who he's the new one, right?
Which one are you talking about?
For running backs, it's Sal something, Sal Ahmed.
Oh, when was
He's
somebody just drafted?
Yeah. That they've been chatting a little bit about, but nothing. No one's seen anything about him yet.
Yeah, I mean, but still, let's say we
What's his
lose Raheem
name?
Mostert, we still have Tevin Coleman, Jerick McKinnon, and Jeff Wilson
Yeah,
Jr.
yeah.
You
Like
know,
it's very deep.
so
Um, but I
I mean,
get it. I do get trying to get your money, especially in football. Like it's so important in football because the chance when you get an injury in football, the chances of it being career
right?
altering and career ending are so much higher than all other sports. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I get it, but I think I'm okay with it if if the Niners give it a no and he moves on and he's cool with it. But if he really pushes it, I think that's where I'm going to be like, do we really even need to deal with this? I don't think we do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I honestly think that if the Niners say we're not going to do anything, I still think that so this comes back to me and the character and the culture and the professionalism that the Niners have showed over the last couple years since Shanahan and Lynch have taken over. They have transformed the culture of that team,
Oh
especially
yeah,
within the locker room, to be so tight knit and so on point. Like I said, professionalism through and through, on and off the field. That you don't hear a lot of things controversial coming out of Santa Clara, like you did when you had guys like Jim Harbaugh, Jim Tomsula, Chip Kelly. I mean, there was just a lot
yeah,
of turmoil going on, whether it was front office, locker room, or just all things turmoil.
yeah,
But right now, I mean, like you even hear, like I've read so many interviews and seen so many videos over the last several years where you can just hear even just snippets of the way these guys talk about, we've always said it just matters just getting the right guys in the building, and then we can do whatever we want to do, right?
yeah,
So that testament to them, it just says that they pride themselves on evaluating talent at such a high level that they know exactly what they're looking for, that fits their scheme, that fits their system, that fits exactly how they want to play football and what they want to do. Um, to where cause sometimes you scratch your head like, really, they didn't draft that guy here, or they didn't do this here, but it's like, but they see something in some people that we don't. They see value that we don't, and usually they're right when it comes to, 6 months later on the football field. They're
Yeah,
usually
no,
right.
they've been pretty on it.
So I would say, like, with to wrap this up on Raheem Mostert, I would say, you know, depending on what the Niners do here will really tell a lot about how they feel about their system and how they feel about him.
Yeah,
So if they give him a little bump and they give him a raise and they keep him around and make him happy, that's going to tell you that they feel like they need him more than the system needs him.
yeah,
Uh, on the flip side, if they let him walk or sit out or trade him, then that's going to say that we trust our evaluation process, we trust our scouts, we know what we're looking for, and we think we can do just what we did with you with someone else.
yeah,
So we'll just have to sort of wait and see how this one unfolds. But again, I think that if the Niners do stand pat and decide to hold firm on their ground, that I do believe that the culture that they've built and the professionalism that they have and the guys that they have in the room, that I definitely still feel that Raheem Mostert fits that mold.
yeah,
And I doubt that he'll actually sit out a game if it comes to it. I think he'll be the type of person that says, I tried up until this point. I'm still going to play. I love to play football. I want to play for my team, and I'll prove you wrong again, and we'll do this again next year. You
yeah.
know?
I hope so. I hope he's that type of player. Those are rare to come by these years,
Well,
but
yeah. I
that's the
mean,
culture of the Niners too. So,
in this case,
um,
his only ask was to be in line with the highest paid running back on the team because he's going to be valued as the number one running back on the team now. And that's only asking for a $2 million raise this year and next year. So $4 million total
yeah,
to be in line with what Coleman has. That's not saying he wants to hold out for the highest paid running back thing. That brings him from 2.7 to 4.7 million this year, which isn't a whole lot. It's
yeah,
not a big jump to have to do. So the Niners certainly could do it if they feel they need to do it, but they don't have to do it.
yeah.
That's sort of where things are.
Makes sense.
Yep. 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 Yep.